Hi guys, welcome to the Citizen channel. I hope you're all staying safe and well. Please, if you are new to this channel, please push that subscribe button. We do everything City, past and present here on these little vlogs, so I do try and inform and entertain, and there's some links on screen as well for Facebook and Twitter where I do post loads of City stuff. So if you follow a friend me on there, I do check every few days and follow and friend everyone back. And if you do get a chance, please have a check out my film and TV channel as well, which I try and inform and entertain on there, and all the latest films and TV drama here in the UK and from around the world. So if you can check that out, that will be fantastic. Anyway, hope you enjoy today's feature. Hi, welcome to Dream Debuts. Yeah, a feature where we have a look at sometimes a question mark in front of the dream debuts, because yeah, what we see as a dream debut may not turn out to be for whoever did it when it comes to the long term. But yeah, you can only do as good as your debut, and I think everyone wants to get off to a dream start, don't they, in a debut? And obviously, as a midfielder, as a defender, as an attacker, I mean, you want to have a good game, don't you? But obviously, it's an added bonus, of course, if you score on your debut, because that's wonderful, isn't it? So today we're going to have a look at, yes, an interesting one. Antoine Sibierski, there you go. That's obviously, if you stick with me later, I do have some views from people on Twitter on Mr. Sibierski, not just about his debut, but the guy in general. So stick with me till the end of this, and I'll share some opinions as well. But mainly it's about his debut, and we'll just sum up his career at City. My thoughts on Mr. Sibierski, who I saw play plenty of times. Yeah, etched in my mind, etched in my memory, of course, Antoine. Yeah, age 29, yeah, he moved to City for a fee of £700,000 in August 2003, of course, from French club Lens. So he came from the old Farmers League, didn't he? Their fans, apparently, in the main, according to Antoine, were sad to see him go. So there you go. He was the captain of the club, so yeah, he had some respect there. At the time, he was envisioned as a straight. Here you go. This is probably why the poor man suffered a little bit. A straight replacement for Ali Benarbia. There you go. There's shoes to step into. In fact, actually, Ali Benarbia left a season early. He actually left City before he should, and obviously Antoine Sibierski was at the end of his contract the season after in May 2004. So the fact that Ali brought his leaving City a year earlier meant that we had to stump up the 700,000, of course, to Lens for the player, because we took him a year earlier than we'd planned to. So there you go. So obviously he'd been due on a free the season after. His footballer influences, apparently, when he was a lad and when he was growing up. When he was a lad, it was Michel Platini. I mean, there you go, good company. And when he sort of grew up, it was Zinedine Zidane when he got to as an older player. So there you go, he sort of wanted to mould himself on those two players. Did you see any of that in Mr. Sibierski? But he did his best, didn't he? Of course, we'd all love to make a debut for our team, whether it be just a dream making your debut, wouldn't it? I mean, I played at Main Road once in a charity match. It was absolutely fantastic, and I was gutted when I let a goal in. I went in goal and I let one goal in. I was gutted I let that in, but there you go. But the chance of scoring a goal were obviously nil, because those balls were heavier, I think, at Main Road than what I was used to playing with. I don't know what it is. I think they had rocks in them. I'm not too sure. He considers anyway. Back to Antoine. We're talking about Antoine, aren't we? He said he considered himself neither a midfielder or a striker. Yeah, just somewhere in between. But he did like to get forward. He did like to try and score the goals. And he did manage, he did manage a sort of dream debut. Of course he did. I mean, let's face it, he scored a goal in his first ever competitive game for a new club, which would endear you not only to the manager and your teammates, but to the pressure to the fans as well, of course, who'd actually made that trip. And it came at this place. Yeah, it came at the Valley, Charlton, on the 17th of August 2003. I wasn't there, I must admit. I didn't go to many games at that stage. I went to the home games, but I wasn't getting to many away games. So if you were there, just let me know in the comments. Let me know what any memories you got of that actual debut itself. Of course, Charlton, Alan Kirbishley was in charge there. We were looking forward to their 4th season in the Premier League, and had welcomed a superstar of their own. Yeah, he's on the front there, isn't he? Paolo Di Canio. He couldn't play against City, but obviously that was a bit of a catch for them, wasn't it, to get him playing? We'd already been in competitive action. We played against TNS, of course. I went to both those games. The one in the second leg in the Millennium Stadium as well. But Sibierski couldn't feature in that. His registration hadn't arrived in time. So with his new buddy, Nicolas Anelka, obviously one of the French guys at City at the time, he would set him up for his debut goal, on 23 minutes at the Valley. I think it was a little back heel from Nicolas Anelka, and Sibierski slotted it home like a seasoned striker. Yeah, we did. We thought, hey, this guy's pretty good, isn't he? And he made it 2-0. And of course, we were winning quite comfortably 3-0. Quite a good team, quite a good start, obviously, to our season. And obviously, Sibierski played his part. His celebration was apparently just to pull up his shirt, as he stated later on. They had no idea what else to do when he scored. I mean, he did score a few goals for Lens, so he must have had a celebration. But why he suddenly decided he didn't know what to do, I have no idea. Perhaps it was playing in England in the top division. Who knows? He did show another side to his play though. He was actually found his way into Mike Dean's book. Yeah, he was booked after just 19 minutes. So there you go. He did have a tougher side, obviously. The lineups that day, just a matter of interest. Charlton was Royce Kishishev. Jensen came on for him in 46 minutes. Fish, Rowett, Herardson, Konchesky, Ewell, Holland, Parker, Lisby. Johansson came on for him in 78 minutes. Bartlett, Young replaced him on 46 minutes. And the subs not used were Letty and Fortune. City that day, there we go. Mr. Seaman, didn't have the greatest season at City, did he? Mr. Seaman, Sunji High, fantastic. Some, Distantana, Wright Phillips, Barton, Sibierski, of course. Sinclair, he played the full game, Sibierski. Sinclair, Tiato replaced him on 90 minutes. Anelka, Fowler, one-shot replaced Fowler on 77 minutes. And subs not used, Weaver, Berkovic and Dunn. Attendance that day, 25,780. So there you go. A goal on his debut. His first goal at the City of Manchester Stadium will come in the UEFA Cup on the 24th of September that season, a 3-2 home win against Lokeren. His one and only appearance for City in European competition, that one, for that goal. His first goal as far as the league was concerned, he was sort of more likely to either start a game on the bench rather than start the game. He did struggle just a little bit to fit in at first, to be honest with you. He initially struggled to get up to pace of the Premier League, obviously after coming from France. It's hardly surprising, but he did bag his first league goal at the City of Manchester Stadium in a 1-1 draw with Leeds in December. December the 22nd, 2003. I would have been at that one. I don't remember too much about it. Well, there you go. He did okay. Sibierski left City in April 2006. He'd made 64 league appearances, 28 as sub, with 11 goals. So not bad considering the amount of games he played as sub. In the FA Cup, he played 6 games, 4 as sub, just 1 goal. That's okay. And in the League Cup, he played 3 games, 1 as sub, and scored 2 goals. So that wasn't too bad. And of course, in the in Europe, he played 1 and scored 1. So there you go, 100%. I can't ask for more than that, can we? A total 74 games, 33 as substitute, and scored 15 goals. So 15 in 74 for a midfielder. I don't think that's too bad a return, do you? So back to that question that I put out to my Twitter, the Twitterati about Mr. Sibierski, away from his debut, just general questions about what were people's thoughts. So I've had quite a few in the sort of few hours following the question being put out there. Cornish Blue said, my memories of him are a lady who sat behind me every week who absolutely hated him. Not nice, is it? Ryan said he was that bit of class in a Sunji High world. Haha, there you go. Thanks, Ryan. Anthony said, I saw him walking around Altrincham once. Yeah, he did have a business there, and sadly his daughter lived in Altrincham and sadly passed away. That's another little story. I've not touched upon that here. We're not really looking at that, but very sad. He seemed a down-to-earth lad, said Anthony, just doing his thing with his kids and his missus. I said hello and he was quite pleasant. Not the usual don't live in the real world gazillionaire. So there you go, Anthony was quite nice about him. Bob Dobbs said, I thought it was actually all right. Not a flash player, but got things done. However, there was a guy sat in front of me in the South Stand who moaned all season about him. Everything that went wrong with it was his fault. Used to drive me nuts. There you go. So that's typical City fans. Legacy supporter said, I remember going to a bar in Le Touquet and on the wall in the frame was his signed shirt. Bit of a shock at the time to see anything on a wall other than rag shirts. It probably was. Dan said, a bullet header is all that can be said, really. More on that in a moment. Craig Nightingale said, top bloke won his away shirt in a raffle when I was a junior blue back in 2004 at Eastlands, and he signed it too. Got a pic with him. You have to show us that, Craig. You didn't send us a picture. Sidepod said, constantly told by all and sundry how good he was in the air. Here we go. With very little evidence to back it up. More of a 50p head at times. Certainly had better French players. We probably certainly did. I always call them sheriffs. Badgeheads, where the ball went everywhere. But I do remember he did climb very well. I do remember he had all the poise of a great header. You know, he got up and made all the right moves, but perhaps not as lethal as he should have been with it. Martini said he was supposed to be good in the air. Never happened in my recollection, they said. John T said sacre bleu. Simple and short and sweet. Carl said, great in the air, apparently. Personally, at the time, he was as good as any French player who turned up. Certainly a better buyer than Laurent Charvet. There you go, poor Charvet. Matt just said 50p head. There you go, there's a theme there, isn't there? Lee Rogers said, I think he set up Bradley Wright Phillips' debut goal for City. Yeah, I've not had a chance to have a look into that, Lee. I will have a look if that is correct. It's nice to set someone up for a debut goal, isn't it? Jan said, sorry, he was poor. Good luck to him, but very ordinary. Yeah, he's not alone in that. There's a couple of others. Dave X said F something. Bobbins, yeah, so a similar theme, obviously to Jam, but a bit less subtle. MTFC Vision said, I remember he went on MTV Cribs. There you go, I missed that one. Would have looked around his house, that would have been nice. H1968 said, average for City, but always thought he gave it 100%. There we go. Heard he was known as Sib the Sexist by the Barcodes fans when he went there. Yeah, he went to Newcastle. I think he scored on his debut there, competitive game in a European game. Not that he was, just in homage to Sid from Viz. So he wasn't sexist, it was just a homage to Sid from Viz. So there you go, which always made me laugh. Thanks H1968. Prestige Gary Bears, yeah, we regular. I think it was Kevin Keegan said he was the best header of a ball he had ever seen. And then Onion City Blue said to that he had a 50p head. So there you go. We'll come back to the 50p heads. Matt, the MCFC, said he was on an episode of MTV Cribs. Yeah, thanks, Matt. Someone else pointed that out. Paul said, I fixed his boiler. I hope you didn't charge too much and he paid on time, mate. That's for sure. Randy Magnum said, didn't he leave in January and was still our top scorer by the end of the season? Possibly, but he actually left in April, so probably not. And then he said simpler times. He certainly were, Randy. Kevin Child said, how many headers did he score for City? Because it can't be a lot. I think he got 2 or 3, I think. I remember one against Leicester City, but I am struggling other than that, to be honest with you. Bill King said, I remember him as a player. We always suspect he was better than he actually was. It's a hope that kills you, he said. The memory then stays with me. That was his excellent heading technique on those far too rare crosses. On occasions, he managed to get on the end of a decent cross. Yeah, well, probably right there, Bill. Davey Grimes simply said S-H-I-T-E. So, yeah, I don't think Davey liked him. Darren Pace said scored on his debut in a 3-0 win at Charlton. Well, there you go. We've covered that, Darren, but thanks for your observation, mate. Good in the air. One of the biggest myths in City's history, said Neil. And finally, yeah, some good ones. I hope you enjoyed this. We'll have to do this more often when I do a little thing. I have people's impressions, won't we? The biggest myth was that he was brilliant in the air, said Man City 5. In reality, he was just S-H-I-T-E all round. I can't really leave it there. So there you go. Anyway, I'll digress that last comment. Yes, as you can see, there was some not impressed, and there was some, yeah, who thought it was okay. And I'm probably in the thought it was okay camp. pleasing debut, of course, not a dream debut. I mean, it is nice to score, of course, but then don't forget that probably put a lot of pressure on him. Then you thought, oh, he's a good player, this, and obviously he has to come out the next time, the time after that. And as I said, he did take time to adjust to the pace of the English top league, of course. He certainly struggled in a team under pressure. Don't forget that season we're fighting against relegation. We sort of went into the last 7 games needing wins, etc. We did survive, obviously, but yeah, so it wasn't an easy time to come into City, which it never really was in those days, was it? If you think of the times around them, but. Yeah, he did admit himself that he could have scored more. He could have got more goals for City. He did admit that himself in an interview. But he did sort of have to fill in all along that midfield line as well. He sort of found himself on the left and the right in various places, as well as a striker at times as well. And I think the only time he got a good run of games was probably in his second season. When he made 34 appearances, not just from the subs bench, but he only got 4 goals. But obviously, he did exactly. He was playing alongside Mr. Anelka and Fowler, so they probably were asked to score the goals. He was more a supplier. I'd love to know how many assists. Obviously, I don't have those. Unfortunately, a lot of these assist records, you don't have the knowledge of that going back to these times that you would have now these days. But to me, as I say, in fairness, despite some of the comments earlier on from Blues opinions, of course it is. I don't think he ever appeared to give less than 100%. I think, which is fair enough, and that can't be said for every French player we've had on our books. Let's be honest about it. And he was saddled, of course, with being a replacement for Ali Benarbia. I mean, how do you replace him? You know, it's like when Sergio went last season. As I'm recording this, you can't really replace him. They're quite unique. Ali Benarbia was quite unique. I say he was one of the bright spots in City's, you know, obviously in pretty dire days for City. So yeah, to be actually saddled. I mean, when he obviously, you know, when he first came to City, that's what people were saying. That's what the media was saying. I'm not so sure City themselves were saying it, but certainly the media and everyone else was saying he was Ali Benarbia's replacement. And as you can see from his transfer, a year early, he certainly looked as though he was, because they say he was brought in early because Ali Benarbia decided to leave. But that's going to put him under immense pressure, and unfair pressure straight away, isn't it, as far as City fans? I don't personally remember that side of it, that, oh, you know, he's not as good as Ali Benarbia, is he? But I mean, you know, to me, I take every player as they come, you know, as they are, however they perform. I don't really try and make comparisons as such. You can't, you know, there's only ever one Ali Benarbia, there's only ever one King Clancy, there's only ever one Colin Bell, there's only ever one Sergio Aguero. Everyone's different, but I think that was it. I do, as I say, 100%. He scored some goals, but it didn't always work for him. But you know, and he stayed around Manchester. He must have liked it here anyway, because obviously he did stay around in the area. So that's fantastic. And I don't have any bad memories of Mr. Antoine Sibierski, that's for sure. But hope you enjoyed that anyway, and that little look at other people's opinions, which can be quite funny, can't it? It's not always great Twitter, is it? But you can have a bit of fun on it anyway. Thanks for watching. Whatever you're going to do the rest of the day, have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your families. More importantly, let's all look after each other. To me here again on the Citizen channel, or perhaps have a flick across, have a look at my film and TV channel. I only ever ask one thing, don't I? Please stay safe, Blues. Come on, City. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.